The explosions shook the ground beneath Jiho's boots as he ran through the smoke-filled streets of New Haven. Bullets screamed past his head, striking the concrete walls around him. The mercenaries had broken through the eastern defenses an hour ago, and now they were pushing deep into the residential district. "Park, where the hell are you going?" his squad leader shouted through the radio. "We need you back at the checkpoint." Jiho didn't answer. He'd seen something move in the rubble of a collapsed building, something small, something that shouldn't be there. He dove behind a burned-out vehicle as another burst of gunfire tore through the air. His heart pounded in his chest. The battle had been going on for 3 days now. The mercenaries wanted the mining rights to New Haven's rare earth deposits, and they didn't care how many colonists died in the process. Jiho peeked around the corner of the vehicle. There, in the remains of what used to be someone's home, he saw her. A child, but not a human child. She was small, maybe the size of a 6-year-old human. Her skin glowed faintly with a soft blue light, like bioluminescent algae. Large eyes dominated her face, and they shifted colors as she looked around in terror, purple to orange to deep red. She was crying, making small chirping sounds that broke Jiho's heart. The girl was huddled in a corner, surrounded by broken walls that could collapse at any moment. And worse, 3 mercenaries were advancing down the street toward her position. They hadn't seen her yet, but they would in seconds. Jiho made his decision without thinking. He'd lost his younger sister 5 years ago to a disease he couldn't fight. He couldn't save her, but he could save this child. He sprinted across the open street. Bullets immediately began tracking him. He felt 2 rounds slam into his back armor, knocking the wind from his lungs. Another grazed his shoulder, tearing through fabric and skin. The pain was white-hot but distant. He kept running. The mercenaries shouted in confusion as Jiho crashed through the debris and reached the child. She looked up at him with those huge, color-shifting eyes. They were amber now, filled with fear. "It's okay," Jiho said, even though he knew she couldn't understand. "I've got you." He scooped her up with one arm and shielded her with his body as the mercenaries opened fire. His armor took 3 more hits. 1 round punched through near his ribs. He felt the burning pain but pushed it down. Not now. Not yet. The child wrapped thin arms around his neck and pressed her face against his chest. She weighed almost nothing. Jiho ran, keeping his body between her and the gunfire. More bullets struck his armor and the walls around them. Dust and debris rained down. He spotted a shelter entrance 50 meters ahead. The heavy blast door was half open. If he could just reach it, his radio crackled. "Park, we see you. Covering fire in 3, 2, 1. The sound of heavier weapons opened up from his right. His squad mates were laying down suppressing fire, forcing the mercenaries to take cover. Jiho used the moment to sprint the last distance to the shelter. He dove through the blast door just as an explosion rocked the street behind him. Someone slammed the door shut. The sound of battle became muffled, distant. Jiho collapsed against the wall, still holding the child. Blood was soaking through his uniform. His ribs screamed with pain. But the girl was safe. She was trembling but unhurt. Medical personnel rushed over. "Corporal Park, you're hit." "Let us check her first," Jiho gasped. "Make sure she's okay." A medic knelt beside them, but the alien child wouldn't let go of Jiho. She clung to him, making those small chirping sounds again. Her skin had changed to a pale green color now. "It's okay, sweetheart," Jiho said softly. He kept one hand on her back, patting gently like his mother used to do when he was young. "You're safe now, I promise." The medic scanned her with a handheld device. "I've never seen this species before. She seems physically fine, just terrified. But you, Corporal, need immediate treatment." Jiho nodded but didn't move. The child was calming down slowly. Her skin was turning a softer blue now. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest, rapid like a bird's. Another explosion rocked the shelter. The lights flickered. Someone was shouting about the mercenaries regrouping for another push. "Park!" Sergeant Hyun appeared, breathing hard. His armor was scorched and dented. "What were you thinking, man? You could have died out there." "There was a kid," Jiho said simply. "What was I supposed to do?" Hyun looked at the alien child, then back at Jiho. His expression softened. "Yeah, I guess you're right." He keyed his radio. "Captain Kang, this is Hyun. Park secure in Shelter 12. He's wounded but stable. And he's got a civilian with him. Unknown alien species. Looks like a child." The radio was silent for a moment. Then Captain Kang's voice came through. "Say again, Sergeant?" "Did you say alien?" "Affirmative." No ID match in the database. Small child-sized, appears humanoid. Park pulled her out of a hot zone. Copy that. Medical team to Shelter 12. And someone contact Administrator Choi. We need to figure out what we're dealing with. Over the next hour, the battle outside slowly died down. The mercenaries were pulling back, their assault broken. New Haven had held barely. Jiho sat on a medical cot, his wounds cleaned and bandaged. Nothing life-threatening, the medic said. Cracked rib, some tissue damage, lots of bruising. He'd be fine in a few weeks. The alien child sat on the cot beside him. She still wouldn't let anyone else approach her. When a medic tried to examine her more closely, she'd made a high-pitched distressed sound and grabbed Jiho's hand. So he stayed. Even when his squad was called back to duty, even when he should have been resting, he held her small hand and spoke softly to her. My name is Jiho, he said, pointing to himself. Jiho. She tilted her head, studying him with those remarkable eyes. They were a calm blue now. And you need a name. Can't just keep calling you kid? He thought for a moment. How about Hana? It means flower in Korean. My sister's name. The child made a soft sound, almost like a coo. Her skin brightened slightly. Hana it is then. Jiho smiled. He didn't know it yet, but that moment, that simple act of giving a scared child a name, would change everything. Not just for him, but for all of humanity. Outside the shelter, unknown to everyone on New Haven, sensors in deep space were detecting something. Ships were moving. A fleet was coming, and someone very important was looking for a lost child. The real story was just beginning. 3 days had passed since the battle ended. Jiho sat in the medical bay, watching Hana draw pictures on a datapad. She was using her finger to trace shapes that glowed briefly before fading. Ships, stars, tall figures that might have been adults of her species. Any progress? Administrator Minho Choi stood at the doorway. He looked exhausted. The battle had damaged a third of the colony and rebuilding was slow. She still won't eat unless I'm here, Jiho said quietly. The doctors are worried. Minho sighed and stepped inside. He kept his distance. Hana had made it clear she didn't like strangers. Yesterday, when a nurse tried to take her for tests, the child had screamed and her skin had flared bright red. The sound had been so piercing that people 3 rooms away had covered their ears. We've sent her genetic data to every database we have access to, Minho said. Earth, the Colonial Network, even the Centauri Alliance, nothing. Her species isn't on record anywhere. Maybe they're from outside known space, Jiho suggested. Maybe. Minho frowned. Or maybe they don't want to be found. Either way, we have a problem. That child needs proper care and you need to recover and return to duty. Jiho looked at Hana. She'd stopped drawing and was watching them both with those color-changing eyes. Right now, they were a soft purple, curious. I've been thinking, Jiho said. I could file for temporary guardianship. Just until we find her people. Minho raised his eyebrows. Park, you're a marine engineer. You live in the barracks. You barely have time for yourself, let alone a child, especially one we know nothing about. I know, Jiho admitted, but she trusts me. Look at her. As if on cue, Hana slid off her chair and walked over to Jiho. She climbed onto the bed beside him and leaned against his arm. Her skin was now a warm gold color. Minho watched this and shook his head. I'll talk to Captain Kang, but Park, if this doesn't work out, the child will have to go to a research facility on Earth. They have xenobiologists who can care for her properly. After Minho left, Jiho looked down at Hana. What am I getting myself into, huh? She made a soft chirping sound and held up the datapad. She'd drawn a picture of a person, roughly human-shaped, standing next to a smaller figure. Above them was what looked like an explosion or a bright light. Is that you? Jiho pointed to the small figure. Hana nodded. Her species seemed to understand gestures even if they couldn't speak human languages. And is that when you got separated from your family? Another nod. Her skin turned gray like ash. Jiho's heart ached. He knew that color meant sadness. He'd seen it several times over the past few days. Hey, he said gently, it's going to be okay. We'll find your family. I promise. She looked up at him and her skin brightened slightly. Trust. The color seemed to represent trust. That evening, Jiho's squad visited. Sergeant Hyun brought food. Real food, not the medical bay's nutrient paste. Private Doyen had smuggled in some sweet rice cakes. Medic Yoonji brought toys, though she admitted she wasn't sure what an alien child would find interesting. Hana was shy at first, hiding behind Jiho, but Doyen made funny faces and eventually she giggled. It was a beautiful sound like small bells. Her skin turned bright yellow, which Jiho was learning meant happiness. "She's cute," Yunji said, offering a soft stuffed animal. Hana took it carefully and hugged it to her chest. "Doesn't really look that alien, you know, apart from the glowing skin and the eyes." "All the scans say she's definitely not human," Jiho said. "Different internal organs, different blood chemistry. But yeah, the basic body plan is similar. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Convergent evolution," Hyun suggested. "Probably means her world is similar to Earth. Gravity, atmosphere, that kind of thing." They spent an hour together, and it was the most normal Jiho had felt since the battle. His squad treated Hana like she was already part of their unit. They joked with her, taught her simple words, and Doyun even showed her how to make shadow puppets on the wall. But when they left and the medical bay grew quiet, Hana's mood changed. She became agitated, her skin flickering between colors. She kept going to the window and looking up at the night sky. Jiho joined her. "Missing home?" She pointed up and said something in her own language. It sounded musical, with tones that went up and down in ways human vocal cords couldn't reproduce. "I wish I could understand you," Jiho said. The next morning, Minho returned with a translator device. It was an expensive piece of tech, usually reserved for diplomatic missions. The colony had 3 of them. "It's a learning translator," Minho explained. "It picks up language patterns and builds a vocabulary database. It won't be perfect, but it should help." They strapped the device to Hana's wrist like a bracelet. She was suspicious of it at first, but when Jiho showed her it wasn't dangerous, she calmed down. "Can you tell us your name?" Jiho asked slowly. Hana spoke, and the translator crackled. "Name is—" The device struggled with the sounds. "Nori." It wasn't perfect, but it was close enough. "Nori," Jiho repeated. "That's a beautiful name. In Korean, it means lily, like a flower." Over the next 2 days, the translator improved. Nari could now communicate basic ideas. She told them she was looking for her mother. She drew more pictures, massive ships, hundreds of them. She kept saying a phrase that the translator couldn't quite interpret. The closest it could get was "mother comes" or "family approaches." "Do you think she's saying her people are coming to find her?" Hyunji asked during one visit. "Maybe," Jiho said. "Or maybe it's just wishful thinking. She's a kid. She wants her mom. That's natural." But on the 5th night, something changed. Jiho was sleeping in a chair next to Nari's bed when the alarms went off. Not battle alarms, something different. "Sensor alarms." Captain Kang's voice blasted through the PA system. "All personnel to defensive positions. We have unknown contacts entering the system. Multiple ships." Very large ships, Jiho's heart sank. Were the mercenaries back? But they didn't have large ships. They'd been using modified freighters and fighters. He looked at Nari. She was sitting up in bed and her skin was glowing so brightly it almost hurt to look at. Pure gold radiant. She was smiling, the first real smile he'd seen from her. She pointed at the ceiling, at the sky above. "Umma," she said in Korean, a word she'd learned from Jiho. "Mother. Umma comes." And somehow Jiho knew. The ships in orbit weren't mercenaries. They weren't pirates or raiders. They were something far more significant. They were Nari's people, and they were here for their princess. The command center was chaos. Officers shouted orders while technicians struggled to make sense of their screens. Every sensor on New Haven was going crazy. Captain Selman Kang stood at the main display, her face pale. "How many ships?" she demanded. "At least 40, a technician reported. "Maybe more." "They're big, Captain. Bigger than anything in our database. The smallest one is 3 times the size of an Earth dreadnought." Jiho stood at the back of the room, holding Nari's hand. Guards had escorted them here when the alarms went off. Nari was practically bouncing with excitement, her skin shifting between gold and bright pink. "Have they responded to any hails?" Minho asked. "Negative," the communications officer said. "They're not broadcasting on any known frequency. We've tried everything." On the screen, the ships were visible now. They'd dropped out of whatever faster-than-light travel they'd been using. The images were unclear, but Jiho could see enough. The ships were beautiful. They looked organic, like they'd been grown rather than built. Crystalline structures caught the light of New Haven's star, creating rainbow reflections. "One ship is breaking formation," a technician announced. "It's descending, heading for the colony." Battle stations, Captain Kang ordered immediately. Get everyone to shelters. Marines to defensive positions. If they're hostile, no. Nari's voice cut through the noise. The translator on her wrist crackled. Not hostile, family, my family. Everyone turned to look at the small alien child. She was glowing so brightly now that she cast shadows on the walls. Captain Kang knelt down to Nari's level. Sweetheart, are you saying these are your people? Yes, mother comes. Nari was grinning. Uma is here. Minho and the captain exchanged looks. If that's true, Minho said slowly, then we need to be very careful. Her people might not be happy about what happened to her. Jiho felt a chill. Nari had been found in the middle of a war zone. She'd been alone, scared, nearly killed by human mercenaries. What would her people think when they found out? Maybe we should explain that we saved her, Jiho suggested. That we've been taking care of her. We'll try, Captain Kang said. But everyone stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with. The ship landed outside the colony walls. It was enormous, easily 200 meters long. The hull was smooth and iridescent, shifting colors like Nari's skin did. No windows were visible, no obvious weapons, but something about the ship radiated power. A ramp extended from the ship's side. Jiho was standing in the colony's main plaza with Captain Kang, Minho, and a squad of Marines. Nari was beside him, holding his hand so tightly it almost hurt. She was trembling with excitement. I don't like this, Sergeant Hyun muttered. He stood behind Jiho, weapon ready. We're too exposed out here. Stand down, Captain Kang ordered. We show them we're not a threat. Let them make the first move. Figures emerged from the ship, 12 of them walking in perfect formation. They were tall, at least 7 feet, and wore armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal. The armor caught the light, throwing off rainbow patterns. Each carried a weapon, a staff that hummed with barely contained energy. Behind them came another figure. She walked with absolute authority, and everyone watching knew immediately she was in charge. She was taller than the guards, perhaps 7.5 feet. Her skin glowed softly with golden light, visible through the transparent portions of her elaborate armor. Her eyes were larger than a human's, currently a deep purple color. She wore something that looked like a crown, but it floated above her head, rotating slowly and casting light patterns around her. The woman stopped 10 meters from the human delegation. Her guards fanned out, weapons ready but not aimed. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Nari let go of Jiho's hand and ran forward. The tall woman's composure broke. She dropped to her knees and caught Nari in her arms, holding her tightly. She spoke in that same musical language Nari used. Her skin had turned bright gold, the same color as Nari's. Tears, or something like tears, rolled down her face. The reunion lasted several minutes. The guards kept their positions, but Jiho saw some of them relax slightly. Their leader had found what she was looking for. Finally, the woman stood, still holding Nari in one arm. She looked at the assembled humans. When she spoke, her voice was powerful, commanding. The words were incomprehensible, but the tone was clear. She was asking a question. Captain Kang stepped forward. I'm sorry, but we don't understand your language. We've been caring for your child since... The woman raised her other hand. One of her guards rushed forward with a device, handing it to her. She touched something on the device, and when she spoke again, her words were translated into perfect English. I am Empress Yura of the Ilari sovereignty. This child is my daughter, Crown Princess Nari. You will tell me everything. Who found her? Who has been caring for her? And who are the ones responsible for the attack on her ship? The weight of her words settled over everyone. Princess, Empress. They hadn't just found a lost alien child. They'd found royalty. Minho stepped forward, his diplomatic training taking over. Your Majesty, I am Administrator Minho Choi of New Haven Colony. 5 days ago, we were attacked by mercenary forces. During the battle, one of our Marines found your daughter in the ruins of a collapsed building. He protected her from enemy fire and brought her to safety. We've been caring for her since then, trying to find out where she came from. Empress Yura's eyes scanned the group. Which one? There was a moment of silence. Then Sergeant Hyun gently pushed Jiho forward. It was Corporal Park, Your Majesty. Jiho felt like his legs might give out as the Empress's full attention focused on him. She was intimidating in a way he'd never experienced before. It wasn't just her size or her obvious power. It was something else. An aura of absolute authority. She walked toward him, still carrying Nari. The guards tensed, but she waved them back. She stopped directly in front of Jiho and studied him. Her eyes shifted from purple to gold to a soft blue. "You are the one," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, Your Majesty," Jiho managed. "I found Nari during the battle. She was scared and alone. I just did what anyone should do. I protected her." "You were injured doing so," Yura observed. She seemed to see the bandages under his uniform. "You put yourself between my daughter and harm." "Yes, ma'am." Nari squirmed in her mother's arms and spoke rapidly in their language. She kept pointing at Jiho and smiling. Whatever she was saying, it made Yura's expression soften slightly. "My daughter says you have been kind to her," Yura translated. "She says you gave her a name when you found her. Hana, flower." "I didn't know her real name," Jiho explained. "I couldn't just call her Kid, it seemed wrong." For the first time, Yura smiled. It was slight, but it transformed her face. "She says you promised to keep her safe, that you stayed with her when she was frightened, that you taught her words and made her laugh. I just tried to help." Yura was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to her guards and spoke in their language. One guard brought forward a small box. Yura opened it and removed something that looked like a crystal pendant on a silver chain. "In my culture," she said, switching back to English, "when someone saves the life of another, especially a child, a bond is formed, a debt of honor. You, Corporal Jiho Park, have saved my daughter's life. You have earned something that cannot be repaid with mere wealth or titles." She placed the pendant around Jiho's neck. It was warm against his skin and seemed to pulse with inner light. "You have earned my personal honor debt," Yura continued, "and I would speak with you further. There are matters we must discuss, matters of great importance." She turned to Captain Kang and Minho. "I request a private meeting with Corporal Park. I assure you he will come to no harm. You have my word as Empress." Captain Kang looked at Jiho. It was his choice. Jiho thought about saying no, about letting someone else handle this. But then he looked at Nari, who was watching him with those trusting eyes. He'd promised to keep her safe. "Maybe that promise wasn't finished yet, I'll go," he said. Inside the Alari ship, Jiho felt like he'd stepped into another world. The walls glowed with soft light and the floor felt warm beneath his feet. Everything curved organically, like walking through the inside of a living creature. He could hear a faint humming, almost like the ship was breathing. Yura led him to a large chamber. Nari walked between them, holding both their hands. The guards followed at a respectful distance. The room they entered had a circular table that seemed to grow from the floor itself, surrounded by chairs that looked more like they'd been sculpted than built. "Please, sit," Yura gestured. Jiho sat carefully. The chair adjusted to fit him, which was startling. Nari climbed onto a chair between him and her mother, swinging her legs and looking happy. One of the guards brought drinks. Yura dismissed the others, leaving only 2 guards at the door. She took a sip from her cup and studied Jiho again. "I must know everything," she said finally. "From the beginning. What happened to my daughter's ship? Why was she alone?" "Tell me everything you saw," Jiho told her. He explained about the mercenary attack, about how New Haven had been fighting for days. He described finding Nari in the ruins, how she'd been terrified, how the mercenaries were closing in. He told her about taking the bullets, about carrying Nari to safety, about the days after. Yura listened to every word. Her expression didn't change much, but her eyes did. They shifted through colors, purple, red, deep blue. When Jiho described the moment he'd covered Nari with his own body, Yura's hands tightened on her cup. "You did not know who she was," Yura said when he finished. "You did not know she was a princess. You simply saw a child in danger." "Yes, Your Majesty. That's all I saw, a scared kid who needed help." "And you expected nothing in return." "I don't want anything in return. I just did what was right." Yura leaned back. "In Alari culture, Corporal Park, a life debt is sacred, especially when it involves a member of the royal family. You have earned the highest honor I can bestow. I can give you wealth beyond measure, a planet of your own, a position in my court, anything within my power." Jiho shook his head. "I appreciate it, Your Majesty, but I don't want any of that. I'm just glad Nari is safe and back with you." "That's enough." The room went very quiet. Yura stared at him. "You refuse?" "I don't mean any disrespect," Jiho said quickly. "But I didn't save Nari for a reward. I did it because she needed help. Taking payment for that feels wrong." One of the guards made a choking sound. Yura held up a hand, silencing them. She stood and walked to a window that showed New Haven below. For a long moment she was silent. "No one has ever refused an empress's honor debt," she said softly. "In 5,000 years of Ilari history, this has never happened. I'm sorry if I offended you." "You did not offend me." Yura turned back. Her eyes were now a bright gold. "You have done something far more significant. In our culture, refusing a reward makes the debt even greater. You have bound me to you by honor in a way that cannot be undone. You are either incredibly wise or incredibly foolish." "Probably foolish," Jiho admitted. "I'm not smart enough to play political games, Your Majesty. I just know what feels right." For the first time, Yura laughed. It was a beautiful sound. Nari giggled too, her skin flashing happy yellow. "I like you, Corporal Park," Yura said, "which is fortunate because I need your help." She sat back down and her expression became serious. The attack on Nari's ship was not random. It was an assassination attempt. Jiho felt cold. "What?" "My daughter was traveling with a diplomatic convoy. We were approached by a human trade delegation and agreed to meet on neutral ground. During the journey, our ships were ambushed by mercenaries using human weapons and human tactics. Most of the escort was destroyed. Nari's personal transport crashed on your world. She was the only survivor." "I don't understand," Jiho said. "Why would humans attack you?" "They were hired," Yura said bitterly. "By someone in my own court. A rival for the throne. My late husband's brother, Duke Tajin. He seeks power and sees my daughter as an obstacle. He hired human mercenaries so that humans would be blamed. His plan was to start a war between our peoples. A war that would let him seize control while I was distracted. The implications hit Jiho like a physical blow. A war between humans and the Ilari would be a massacre. Your technology, your numbers." "Yes," Yura said quietly. "Your species would not survive. But Tajin doesn't care. He believes humans are inferior. A disease spreading through space. He wants you eliminated." "Does he know Nari survived?" "Not yet, but he will soon. And when he learns she's alive, he will try again, more carefully this time." Jiho looked at Nari. She was playing with the crystal pendant around his neck, making it spin and catch the light. She had no idea her own uncle wanted her dead. "What are you going to do?" Jiho asked. "That depends," Yura said. "On you. On me. I cannot trust my own people, Corporal Park. Tajin has allies throughout my court. I don't know who is loyal and who is a traitor." "But you," she leaned forward. "You are outside Ilari politics. You have no reason to want power or wealth. You prove that by refusing my reward. And most importantly, my daughter trusts you completely." "What are you asking?" "I want you to become Nari's official guardian. In Ilari culture, it is a position of great honor. You would be responsible for her safety and education. You would live in the palace, train with our warriors, learn our ways, and you would help me find the traitors in my court." Jiho sat back, stunned. "Your Majesty, I'm just a marine engineer. I fix equipment and fight when I have to. I'm not a bodyguard or a spy." "You are a man who kept his promise to a frightened child," Yura said. "You are a man who values honor over reward. That is exactly what I need. Will you accept?" Jiho thought about his life on New Haven, his squad, his duties, the simple routine of military service. Then he thought about Nari, about her trust, about the promise he'd made to keep her safe. "If I say yes," he said slowly, "I have conditions." Yura raised an eyebrow. "You bargain with an empress? You asked for my help. That means I get a say in how I give it." He met her eyes. "First, my squad comes with me. Sergeant Hyun, Private Doyen, and Medic Yunji. They're my team and I trust them completely. Second, New Haven gets a protection treaty with the Ilari. No more mercenary attacks. Trade agreements, technology exchange, whatever helps this colony thrive. Third, when this is over, when the conspiracy is dealt with, I get to come home." The room was silent. The guards looked shocked. But Yura smiled. "You drive a hard bargain, Corporal. But I accept your terms. All of them. Your squad will be given ranks in the Royal Guard. New Haven will become the first human Ilari joint colony, and when Nari is safe, you may return home." She stood and extended her hand. "Do we have an agreement?" Jiho stood and shook her hand. Her grip was firm, her skin warm. "We have an agreement, Your Majesty." Nari made a happy chirping sound and hugged Jiho's leg. She looked up at him, eyes bright blue with joy. "There is one more thing," Yura said. "Tomorrow there will be a ceremony. You will be formally named as Nari's guardian, and granted the rank of Blade Guardian in Ilari nobility. This will give you the authority you need to operate in my court. It will also make you a target." Taijin will see you as a threat. I understand. I hope you do, Corporal Park, because once this begins, there is no turning back. You will be part of something larger than yourself, larger than either of our worlds. Jiho looked at Nari again. She was smiling, holding the stuffed animal Yunji had given her days ago. So innocent, so trusting. For her, Jiho said. I'll see it through. Whatever it takes. The ceremony was unlike anything Jiho had ever experienced. It took place on the flagship in orbit, in a massive hall that could hold thousands. The walls were transparent, showing the stars beyond. Hundreds of Ilari nobles attended, all wearing elaborate armor and robes that shifted colors like living things. Jiho wore armor that had been specially made for him overnight. It was lighter than human armor, but stronger, and it adjusted to fit his body perfectly. His squad stood with him, Hyun, Doyeon, and Yunji all wearing similar armor. They looked as nervous as he felt. This is insane, Doyeon whispered. We're about to become alien nobles. My grandmother would never believe this. Focus, Hyun muttered. And remember the protocol briefing. Don't embarrass us, Yunji just smiled. Relax. We've survived worse than a ceremony. At the front of the hall, Empress Yura sat on a throne that floated above the floor. Nari stood beside her, wearing a small crown and looking very official. When she spotted Jiho, she waved excitedly. Several nobles chuckled. A herald announced them in that musical Ilari language. Then again in English, using the translation technology. Corporal Jiho Park of Humanity and his companions come forward to receive the Empress's honor. Jiho walked forward, his squad following. The crowd was silent. He could feel hundreds of eyes on him. Most were curious. Some were hostile. He spotted several Ilari whose skin had turned red or dark purple, anger colors. They knelt before the throne as they'd been taught. Yura stood and descended. She carried a staff that glowed with inner light. Jiho Park, she said, her voice amplified so everyone could hear. You saved my daughter's life at risk of your own. You asked for nothing in return. By the ancient laws of our people, I name you Blade Guardian of Crown Princess Nari. You are charged with her protection, her education, and her welfare. Do you accept this duty? I do, Your Majesty, Jiho said clearly. Then rise, Guardian Park. She touched the staff to his shoulders. You are now nobility of the Ilari sovereignty. Your word carries the weight of the crown. Your honor is our honor. She repeated the ceremony for Hyun, Doyeon, and Yunji, granting them ranks in the royal guard. When it was finished, the hall erupted in a combination of cheers and what Jiho suspected were protests. The nobles were divided. That night, Yura held a private meeting in her chambers. Jiho and his squad were there, along with Commander Bora, the head of Ilari intelligence. Bora was an older female with silver-white skin and sharp orange eyes that seemed to see everything. Duke Taijin knows about you now, Bora said without preamble. His spies attended the ceremony. They've reported back to him. What will he do? Jiho asked. He'll try to discredit you first. Spread rumors that you're manipulating the Empress, that humans are infiltrating the court. If that doesn't work, Bora shrugged. He'll try to kill you. Great, Doyeon muttered. Yura pulled up a holographic display showing a complex web of connections. This is what we know about Taijin's network. He has supporters among the noble houses, military officers, and even some of my personal staff. We've identified about 30 confirmed conspirators, but there are likely more. How do we prove he's behind the assassination attempt? Hyun asked. That's the problem, Bora said. Taijin is careful. He uses intermediaries. The mercenaries who attacked Nari's convoy were hired through a human broker named Sunwoo. We tracked him to a neutral port station, but he was killed before we could question him. Killed by who? Jiho asked. Ilari assassins working for Taijin. He's eliminating all evidence that leads back to him. Yunji leaned forward. So we need to find proof before he erases it all. Exactly, Yura said. Which is why we're going to that port station. Sunwoo's data is still there, encrypted and hidden. If we can recover it, we'll have evidence of Taijin's involvement. It'll be dangerous, Bora warned. Taijin knows we're looking. He'll have people there. That's why Guardian Park and his team are going, Yura said. You're unknown quantities. Taijin's people won't expect humans to be involved. You'll have an advantage of surprise. Over the next week, they prepared. Jiho trained with Ilari warriors, learning their combat techniques. The Ilari style was elegant and flowing, very different from human military training. At first, the warriors were dismissive of the humans. "You're too slow," one instructor said after easily disarming Jiho. "Too stiff." "Then teach us," Jiho replied. "We're here to learn." Slowly, respect grew. The Alari warriors appreciated that the humans didn't make excuses. They absorbed techniques quickly and added their own variations. Human unpredictability started to pay off. Doyen developed a combination of Alari blade work and human boxing that caught opponents off guard. Yunji's medical knowledge helped her identify weak points in Alari physiology. During breaks, Jiho spent time with Nari. He taught her more Korean, showed her human games, and told her stories about Earth. She was a curious child, always asking questions. "Why do humans not have glowing skin?" she asked one day. "We do, actually. Just not like you. We blush when we're embarrassed. We sweat when we're hot. Our bodies show what we're feeling, just more subtly." "I like your way better," Nari said. "Glowing skin tells everyone your feelings. Sometimes I want to hide them." Jiho understood. Being a princess meant always being watched, always having to perform. He remembered feeling something similar in the military, always having to appear strong, never showing weakness. "It's okay to feel things," he told her. "Even things you don't want to share. That's what makes you you." Nari hugged him. "I'm glad you're my guardian, Uncle Jiho." The title stuck. Soon everyone was calling him Uncle Jiho when referring to his role with Nari. It was informal, not quite protocol, but it felt right. Finally, the day came. They were ready for the mission to the port station. The team consisted of Jiho, Hyun, Do-yoon, Yoonji, Commander Bora, and 4 Alari warriors. They took a small, fast ship that could pass as a merchant vessel. The port station was called Meridian Point, a neutral zone where dozens of species traded. It was chaotic and crowded, perfect for hiding, but it also meant danger could come from any direction. They docked and split into 2 groups. Bora led the Alari warriors to secure an escape route. Jiho's team went after Sunwoo's data. According to Bora's intelligence, Sunwoo had kept his files in a heavily encrypted storage unit in the station's lower levels. The area was run by various criminal organizations and security was tight. "Stay alert," Hyun said as they made their way through corridors filled with aliens of all types. "We're being watched." He was right. Jiho could feel eyes on them. Humans were common enough in these areas, but 4 humans moving with purpose drew attention. They reached the storage facility. Yoonji worked on the lock while Doyen kept watch. Jiho and Hyun covered the other approaches. "We've got company," Doyen suddenly said. 6 contacts coming fast." "How long, Yoonji?" Jiho asked. 30 seconds. "We don't have 30 seconds. "Then keep them busy." The attackers came around the corner. They were Alari, wearing dark armor with no insignia. "Taejin's assassins, guard the door," Jiho ordered. The fight was brutal and fast. The Alari assassins were skilled, but they weren't expecting human tactics. Hyun used a flashbang grenade, technology the Alari didn't have. Doyen fought dirty, using environmental weapons. Jiho focused on defense, keeping the enemies away from Yoonji. One assassin got past. Jiho tackled him and they crashed into a wall. The Alari was stronger, but Jiho was desperate. He used a move from training, redirecting the enemy's strength against them. The assassin went down hard. "Got it," Yoonji shouted. She pulled a data drive from the storage unit. "Let's go," they ran. More assassins appeared, but Bora's team intercepted them. The firefight lit up the station's lower levels. Alarms blared. Security forces responded, but they were slow and uncoordinated. The team made it back to their ship. As they launched, Jiho looked at the data drive in Yoonji's hands. Everything they needed was on that small device. Proof of Taejin's conspiracy. Evidence that could save Nari and prevent a war. But something felt wrong. It had been too easy. Taejin was smarter than this. Commander Bora was thinking the same thing. "He let us get this," she said grimly. "It's a trap. He wanted us to recover the data." "Why?" Doyen asked. "Because now he knows we're actively investigating him," Yura said over the comm. She'd been monitoring from the flagship. "He'll accelerate his plans. Whatever he's going to do, he'll do it soon." "How soon?" Jiho asked. "Days, maybe hours. When we present this evidence to the High Council, he'll be forced to act. He'll challenge the evidence through combat trial by honor. It's his legal right." "What does that mean?" "It means someone will have to fight him. Someone from my side. If we lose, Taejin is exonerated and everything we've done is for nothing." If we win, he's executed for treason. Hyun looked at Jiho. Who fights for your side? Yura was quiet for a moment. By law, only Nari's guardian can challenge on her behalf. That means the fight falls to you, Guardian Park. Jiho felt cold. He'd have to fight Duke Taejin, a trained warrior, an Ilari noble with decades of experience and genetic enhancements, against someone who'd been training for only a week. I'll do it, Jiho said. Jiho, Yunji started. I'll do it, he repeated firmly. For Nari, whatever it takes. The High Council chamber was vast and circular, with seats rising in tiers around a central arena. Hundreds of nobles filled the space, their skin shifting through various colors as they spoke among themselves. The air hummed with tension. Jiho stood in the preparation chamber below the arena with his squad. He wore light armor designed for the trial. It would protect him somewhat, but still allow freedom of movement. His weapon was a staff similar to what the Ilari warriors carried, though his was calibrated for human strength. The data drive proved everything, Hyun said, reviewing the information one more time. Payments to Sunwoo, communication records, even video of Taejin meeting with the mercenary captains. It's undeniable. Then why does he seem so confident? Doyen asked. He'd been watching Taejin through the monitors. The Duke sat calmly in his section of the council chamber, surrounded by supporters. His skin was a steady, confident gold. Because he knows he can win the trial, Yunji said quietly. She was checking Jiho's medical readings. Jiho, your heart rate is elevated. Try to stay calm. Easy for you to say, Jiho replied. You're not about to fight a genetically enhanced alien warrior in front of an audience of thousands. Commander Bora entered the chamber. Her expression was grave. The council has reviewed the evidence. Taejin has invoked his right to trial by honor, as expected. He will fight personally. Can't we just arrest him? Doyen asked. The evidence is clear. Ilari law is different from yours, Bora explained. When someone of noble rank is accused of treason, they have the right to prove their innocence through combat. It's ancient law, but it's absolute. The council cannot override it. What are the rules? Jiho asked. Fight to submission or death. No weapons except the honor staff. No outside interference. First one who can no longer continue loses. Bora paused. Taejin is a master duelist. He's killed 17 opponents in honor trials over his lifetime. He's never lost. The room went quiet. There has to be a weak point, Hyun said. Some way to beat him. His arrogance, Bora said. Taejin believes humans are inferior. He'll underestimate you. Use that, a chime sounded. It was time. Jiho walked up the ramp to the arena. The sound hit him first. Thousands of voices, some cheering, some hostile. He stepped into the light and saw the crowd. So many eyes, so much judgment. Across the arena, Duke Taejin entered. He was tall even for an Ilari, nearly 8 feet. His armor was magnificent, decorated with honors from a lifetime of service. His skin was deep purple, the color of controlled anger. He moved like a predator, confident and deadly. Empress Yura sat in the royal box with Nari beside her. Nari's skin was pale gray, worried. When she saw Jiho, she waved. He waved back, trying to appear more confident than he felt. The herald stepped into the center of the arena. By ancient law, the accusation of treason against Duke Taejin will be decided by trial of honor. Guardian Jiho Park fights for Crown Princess Nari. Duke Taejin fights for his innocence. The trial begins when I leave the arena. It ends when one fighter cannot continue. The herald withdrew. Jiho and Taejin faced each other across the open space. A human, Taejin said with contempt. His translator device made his words clear to everyone. The Empress sends a monkey to fight her battles. This is what our empire has become? Jiho didn't respond. He'd learned from training that the Ilari respected silence more than boasting. Let Taejin talk. Let him reveal himself. You cannot win, human. You are weaker, slower, less experienced. Your species is an infestation on the galaxy. When I'm finished with you, I will finish your colony. I will burn New Haven to ash and scatter your bones among the ruins. Now Jiho spoke. Are you going to fight or just keep talking? The crowd reacted. Some laughed. Taejin's skin flared bright red. The fight began. Taejin moved first, incredibly fast. His staff whistled through the air toward Jiho's head. Jiho barely blocked it. The impact sent shockwaves through his arms. Taejin followed with a sweep at his legs. Jiho jumped, but not fast enough. The staff caught his ankle and he went down hard. Pain exploded in his side as Taejin's boot connected. Jiho rolled away, gasping. Taijin advanced, not giving him time to recover. This was bad. Taijin was faster than anyone Jiho had trained with. Stronger too. Every block left Jiho's arms aching. Every dodge was barely in time. Taijin struck again and again, driving Jiho backward. The crowd was roaring. Jiho caught a glimpse of Nari in the royal box. Her skin was completely gray now, terrified. Pathetic, Taijin said, pressing the attack. Is this humanity's best? Is this what the Empress chooses over Ilari warriors? Jiho's back hit the arena wall. No more room to retreat. Taijin's staff came down in an overhead strike that would crush his skull if it connected. Jiho didn't block. He rolled to the side at the last second. The staff smashed into the wall with tremendous force, cracking the crystalline surface. Taijin was committed to the strike, off balance for just a moment. Jiho swept his staff low, hitting the back of Taijin's legs. The Duke stumbled. Jiho followed up with a strike to the ribs. It connected, and Taijin grunted in pain. The Duke recovered quickly, rage clear on his face. His skin was now burning red. Lucky hit, was it? Jiho asked. They circled each other now. Taijin was more cautious, reassessing his opponent. That was good. The more Taijin thought, the less he acted on instinct. They exchanged blows again. Taijin was still faster, but Jiho was learning his patterns. The Duke favored high attacks. He was trained in formal dueling, which meant he fought with honor and technique. Beautiful but predictable, Jiho had been trained by Marines who fought to survive, not to look good. He started mixing in techniques that weren't in any Ilari training manual. Feints, cheap shots, psychological tricks. When Taijin struck high, Jiho went low. When Taijin expected a block, Jiho dodged and countered from an unexpected angle. It wasn't elegant, but it was effective. Fight properly, Taijin shouted. Stop running like a coward. Is that what I'm doing? Jiho taunted. Looks like I'm winning to me. It wasn't true. Jiho was taking more damage than he was dealing. His ribs hurt. His shoulder was probably dislocated. But if he could make Taijin angry, make him lose control. Taijin roared and charged. No technique now, just raw aggression. Exactly what Jiho wanted. He stood his ground until the last second, then sidestepped. Taijin's momentum carried him forward. Jiho brought his staff down on the Duke's back with all his strength. Taijin crashed to the ground. The crowd went silent. For a moment, neither fighter moved. Then Taijin pushed himself up, slower than before. His skin was flickering between red and purple. Rage and pain. You cannot beat me, Taijin said. I am superior in every way. Then why are you bleeding? Jiho pointed to the purple blood running down Taijin's arm. The Duke looked down, surprised. He hadn't even noticed the wound. His arrogance was so complete he'd thought himself untouchable. You hide behind mercenaries and assassins, Jiho continued. You plan to kill a child to get power. You're not superior. You're just a coward who got caught. Taijin screamed and attacked with everything he had. No strategy, no defense. Just fury. Jiho waited. Watched. Then he moved. He ducked under a wild swing and struck Taijin's knee. The Duke's leg buckled. Jiho followed with a strike to the weapon hand. Taijin's staff went flying across the arena. Before Taijin could recover, Jiho had his own staff pressed against the Duke's throat. Yield, Jiho said. The arena was absolutely silent. Every eye was on them. Taijin's skin was flickering rapidly now. Red, purple, gray. He was beaten and he knew it. But his pride wouldn't let him surrender. Yield, Jiho repeated. Or I end this now. Kill me then, human, Taijin spat. Prove your Empress is no better than me. Jiho pressed the staff harder. It would be easy. One push and Taijin would die. The conspiracy would end. Nari would be safe. But Jiho looked up at the royal box. Nari was watching. She needed to see that humans didn't solve everything with killing. That mercy had value. Jiho stepped back and lowered his staff. No, you don't get to die a warrior's death. You're going to confess. Tell everyone what you did. Every detail. Every accomplice, everything. Taijin glared at him. Never. Then I'll let the Empress's investigators find them. One by one. And every single person who helped you will know you didn't have the courage to protect them, that you were beaten by a human and couldn't even die with honor. Something broke in Taijin's expression. The reality hit him. He was ruined either way. At least a confession might save some of his allies. I hired the mercenaries, Taijin said loudly enough for everyone to hear. I planned the assassination. I wanted the princess dead so I could claim the throne. I did it all. The arena erupted. Shouts of outrage, of vindication. Guards rushed forward to take Taejin into custody. Jiho collapsed to his knees. The adrenaline was wearing off and the pain was catching up. Yoonji rushed into the arena with the medical team. "You did it," she said, supporting him. "You actually did it." "Is Nari okay?" Jiho asked. Yoonji pointed to the royal box. Nari had broken away from her mother and was running down to the arena floor. Her skin was brilliant gold, joy and relief mixed together. She crashed into Jiho, hugging him tightly. "You won. You won." She kept repeating in Korean. Jiho hugged her back despite the pain. "I promised I'd keep you safe. I keep my promises." 3 months had passed since the trial. Jiho sat in the medical bay of the Ilari flagship, finally getting his last checkup. The doctors had done amazing work. His ribs were healed, the shoulder was back in place, and most of the bruising had faded. He'd be cleared for full duty within a week. "You heal fast for a human," the Ilari doctor commented. Her skin was a professional light blue. Most species would need twice as long to recover from the injuries Duke Taejin inflicted. "Stubborn, I guess," Jiho said with a smile. The aftermath of the trial had been intense. Taejin had given a full confession that implicated 43 nobles, 17 military officers, and countless support staff. The Ilari justice system moved quickly once guilt was established. Taejin himself had been exiled to a prison colony on the edge of Ilari space. His lands were seized, his titles removed, his name struck from the official records. The conspirators were being dealt with one by one. Some were exiled, others demoted and stripped of rank. A few chose ritual suicide over dishonor. It was harsh by human standards, but it was Ilari law. The political impact was enormous. Yura's position was stronger than ever. The High Council had voted unanimously to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. New Haven was granted special status as the first joint colony, with Ilari protection and human administration. Earth's government had been shocked by the news. First contact with an advanced alien empire, and it had come through a random Marine protecting a lost child. The political implications would take decades to sort out. But Jiho tried not to think about that. His job was simpler. Take care of Nari. He found her in the education wing, working with her tutors. She'd grown in the past few months. Not physically, but in confidence. The scared child he'd found in the rubble was gone. In her place was a princess who knew her own strength. "Uncle Jiho," she called when she saw him. Her skin flashed happy yellow. She'd gotten very good at controlling the color changes, but around him she let her emotions show freely. "Look what I learned." She held up a data pad showing a star chart. "I can navigate using human calculation methods now. It's different from how we do it, but it works." "That's great," Jiho said. "Your mother will be proud. She already is. She tells everyone about you." Nari's expression became more serious. "She's meeting with the human ambassadors right now. They want to thank you personally." "I don't need thanks. I know. That's why they want to do it." Nari took his hand. "Come on. There's something else I want to show you." She led him through the ship to an observation deck. Outside, New Haven was visible below, along with several Ilari vessels and human ships working together. The joint colony was growing quickly. New buildings, new infrastructure, 2 species learning to live side by side. "It's beautiful," Nari said. "Before all this, I never thought about humans much. In school, they taught us you were interesting but not important. A young species still figuring things out." "We are still figuring things out," Jiho admitted, "but that's not bad. You adapt. You find new ways to solve problems. When Uncle Jiho fought Duke Taejin, everyone expected him to lose, but you didn't fight the Ilari way. You fought the human way, and that made all the difference." She looked up at him. "Mother says humanity's greatest strength is that you never stop trying new things. You're not bound by tradition the way we are. That makes you valuable allies." High praise from an empress. She means it. And so do I. Nari hugged him. "Thank you for saving me." "Thank you for keeping your promise," Jiho hugged her back. "Always, Nari. That's what family does." Later that evening, Yura hosted a formal dinner. It was a smaller affair than the ceremony had been. Just the royal family, Jiho's squad, a few key nobles, and the human ambassadors. Ambassador Kwan was a sharp-eyed woman who'd spent most of her career in diplomatic service. She'd been sent to negotiate the terms of human-Ilari relations and had done an impressive job. Sitting next to her was General Ro, representing Earth's military interests. Guardian Park, Ambassador Quan said. Your actions have changed the course of human history. We owe you a tremendous debt. I just did my job, Ambassador. You did far more than that, General Rowe interjected. You represented humanity well. Showed them what we're capable of. That matters more than any treaty. Yura raised her glass. A toast to Guardian Park and his team. They proved that honor transcends species. That courage can be found in the most unexpected places. And that family is not defined by blood but by the bonds we choose to form. Everyone drank. The dinner continued with multiple courses of food from both species. Some dishes were successful fusions of Ilari and human cuisine. Others were interesting failures. But the attempt mattered. During a quiet moment, Commander Bora approached Jiho. Guardian, I wanted to speak with you about your future. My future? The Empress has proposed something. A cultural exchange program. She wants you to train Ilari warriors in human tactics. Officially, you'd be an instructor at the Royal Military Academy. Unofficially, you'd be helping us understand how humans think and fight. It would be a significant position. Jiho considered it. That sounds long-term. I told Empress Yura I'd want to go home when this was over. The conspiracy is dealt with, Bora acknowledged. The terms of your agreement are fulfilled. If you choose to return to New Haven, the Empress will honor that. But consider the offer. You have a gift for teaching and there's value in what you could share. Later, Jiho spoke with his squad in private. What do you think? He asked them. Should I stay? Go back to New Haven? I don't know what the right answer is, Hyun leaned back. I think you should do what makes you happy. We signed up for this adventure because you did. But it's your life, Jiho. Your choice. I kind of like it here, Doyun admitted. The Ilari are intense, but they respect strength. And the technology they're sharing with New Haven is going to change everything. I could go back, help integrate it. Make New Haven the best colony in human space, Yunji smiled. I'm staying. The Ilari have medical knowledge that could save millions of human lives. I've already been working with their doctors. There's too much to learn to leave now. So we're splitting up, Jiho said. Not really, Hyun replied. We're just expanding. The squad isn't defined by location. It's defined by trust. Distance doesn't change that. Over the next few weeks, Jiho made his decision. He would return to New Haven but maintain his position as Nari's guardian. He'd visit regularly, attend important events, and be available when needed. But his home was with the colony he'd fought to protect. The Ilari Council approved the arrangement. It was unconventional, but then again, everything about Jiho's situation was unconventional. The day he left, Nari insisted on accompanying him to the shuttle bay. She wore casual clothes instead of her formal robes. Just a girl saying goodbye to her uncle. You'll visit? She asked. Every few months, Jiho promised. And you can visit me too. New Haven has excellent beaches. You've never been to a beach. I've seen them in videos. It's not the same. You have to feel the sand, taste the salt water, build sandcastles, Nari laughed. Sandcastles? That sounds very human. It is, and you're going to love it. They hugged one more time. Yura stood nearby, watching with a gentle expression. When Jiho looked at her, she nodded respectfully. Thank you, Guardian Park, for everything. Thank you, Your Majesty, for trusting me. The shuttle trip down to New Haven was peaceful. Jiho watched the stars give way to atmosphere, then clouds, then familiar buildings. He was home. Captain Kang met him at the landing pad. Welcome back, Park, or should I say Guardian Park? Just Jiho is fine, Captain. Good, because we need your help. The Ilari engineers are here to upgrade our power grid, but there are communication problems. You speak their language now, right? Jiho laughed. Yeah, I can help with that. Life in New Haven settled into a new rhythm. Jiho returned to his duties as a marine engineer, but now he also served as a liaison with the Ilari technical teams. He taught classes about Ilari culture to colonists. He helped negotiate trade agreements. It was busy, but it was fulfilling. His quarters were larger now, befitting his status as an Ilari noble. He kept most of it simple, but one wall was dedicated to gifts from Nari. Drawings she'd made. Photos of them together. The crystal pendant Yura had given him during the ceremony. 6 months after returning, a ship landed outside the colony. Jiho was working on a construction site when he got the alert. He cleaned up quickly and headed to the landing pad. Nari burst out of the ship before the ramp was fully extended. She'd grown taller, her features becoming more mature. but her eyes were still the same, shifting to bright gold when she saw him. "Uncle Jiho," she ran to him and he caught her in a hug. Yura followed at a more dignified pace, but she was smiling. "Surprise visit?" Jiho asked. "Holiday," Yura explained. "Nari has been studying hard. She needed a break. And she wouldn't stop asking about beaches and sandcastles." "Then we'll make some sandcastles," Jiho said. "The best ones you've ever seen." They spent 3 days together. Jiho showed them the colony, introduced them to his friends, taught Nari to swim in the ocean. It was simple, casual, and perfect. On the last evening, they had dinner at Jiho's quarters. Just the three of them, with food from both cultures. As the sun set, casting orange light through the windows, they sat together in comfortable silence.